So he's trying to be Batman, but he can never be Batman. No one could ever be Batman. And Batman can't even be Alfred Pennyworth, the greatest hero of all time. What up, everyone? It's your boy Floz and G. Welcome back to another episode of Tier Up. And this time, we are going to be ranking DC superheroes. Why are we ranking DC superheroes at the beginning of the year? I don't know. I just went with something random that I, again, thought I had already ranked, but apparently have not. So let's go through these, shall we? The tiers for this video are as follows: God tier, Justice Leaguer, Super, Lex Lackey, and Cancel. I will say for a lot of these images, I didn't know what to use, so I just decided, hey, you know what? DC was always originally comics, so let's just choose some random pictures from the comics. First up, we have the greatest superhero to ever come from DC Comics, the greatest hero to ever live. We have Alfred Pennyworth, the supreme ruler of everything British. Alfred Pennyworth, Bruce Wayne's great butler, friend, mentor, whatever you want to call it. He is the entire package. He's the greatest of all time. And no, that's not Trump saying, yes, Alfred Pennyworth, he is the greatest hero of all time. And sure, I know I am the greatest of all time, but no, he is the greatest of all time. And why? Because he's an old cis white male. Probably. And now, after ruining the image of Alfred Pennyworth right there, we're going to go and put him in his rightful place. Up here in God tier. This is the only place that anyone can ever put Alfred Pennyworth. And now next up, we have Aquaman. Aquaman, whose real name I forget. He's the king, the ruler of Atlantis. Look at this blonde hair, blue-eyed mermaid man ripoff. From what I know, his superpowers are like able to breathe water, move quickly underwater, carries a goddamn trident, can communicate to all sea life and get them to do his bidding. Which, I mean, that's really only the strongest if you face, like, other water threats. Otherwise, it doesn't really do much now, does it? Compared to a lot of these other heroes, I'm not a big fan of Aquaman, so I'm actually going to put him down in Lex Lackey, if anything. He just doesn't vibe with me. Next up, we have Batman. Okay, that was a very shitty way to introduce him. Batman, the Dark Knight. He may just be a regular human compared to most of these other heroes, and yet he can put them all to shame, well, aside from Alfred Pennyworth. Batman, billionaire playboy by day, ruthless defender by night. Point is, Batman is a great one, and there is no debating it. Batman needs to be in God tier, because I'm pretty sure he was able to take out Darkseid single-handedly. But then again, there have been like millions of issues of thousands of different stories, so who knows what the fuck was done. Next up, we have the Blue Beetle. The Blue Beetle is like a super weapon. I don't know if it's like an alien being or whatever, but it's a super weapon that gives its wearer to create weapons that can be essentially anything. All that it has to do is use the imagination. I don't know all the DC lore. Like, another thing I'm trying to take into effect is how much fun I had playing certain characters in, like, the Injustice games, too. And I will say, Blue Beetle was way up there. But as a superhero, do I think he's better than Batman? Not really. Do I think he's better than Alfred Pennyworth? Hell to the no! I do, however, like his powers more than I do Aquaman's, so I'm going to go ahead and put him up in Super. I mean, better powers equals a higher tier. That's kind of just how it works. And next up, we have Catwoman. And I know she's technically not, like, a superhero. She's kind of like on that, like, anti-hero status, kind of like Venom is. I mean, hey, these are some heroic fucking cubs, my guy. You can fight me any day. Now that I got that weirdness out of the way, I was initially just going to put her in Canceled for having absolutely no superpowers. But that booty is Justice League worthy. We're putting her up in Justice Leaguer. Because, I mean, if she had like a better personality per se, she could very well be a Justice Leaguer. Next up, we have Cyborg. And I will say, I was never really a fan of this original Cyborg design. I was a better fan of like his designs from Injustice, from his design in Teen Titans. It just looks like he's wearing a really shiny suit. He doesn't look Cyborg-like. But I'm getting off topic. It's not about how he looks, it's about his powers. And Cyborg's powers, like, not only is he like part cyborg, well, mostly cyborg anyway, having his brain essentially connected to a computer pretty much makes him a goddamn super genius. Not to mention he can turn his arms into fucking cannons. And you gotta remember the signature phrase, booyah! That booyah is good, but it does not even reach Catwoman status. Because, I mean, Cyborg can try and get with that, but he will fall flat on his face. Next up, we have Dr. Fate, whose powers mostly remain within the helm that he wears. The helm finds a host to then turn into Dr. Fate and tries to restore order to the world. Even though if that order may not seem like it's truly order, but chaos, it's weird like that. And I'm going to be completely honest, I'm not even sure like what Dr. Fate's powers are. From what I know, it's like mostly magic. I don't know, my brain hurts. I haven't really played Injustice 2 that much, and that's where Dr. Fate was introduced to me. Dr. Fate doesn't really do it for me. Plus, I think the Helm is a bit of a dick. So, yeah. Fuck you, Helm! You've ruined what Dr. Fate should be! You have put him down into cancelled! Never ruin Dr. Fate ever again. What am I saying? He's probably going to do it again eventually. But next up, we have Firestorm! Firestorm is actually two separate people that are fused together with nuclear fission or some other smart words like that. He can shoot fire nuclear energy out of his fist. He can use that same energy to propel himself upwards and fly. I will say, it was really fun playing as this guy in Injustice 2. I will say, it was really fun playing as this guy in Injustice 2, but I think I'm going to go ahead and put him at the very beginning of Super. Not enough to be up there in Justice League with Catwoman, but just enough to be at the very head of Super. Next up, we have one of my favorite heroes. We have the Flash, who, in my opinion, his best rendition was from the CW series with Grant Gustin. I love that series. Plus, I feel like it did a great job explaining many of the villains' origin stories, too. Plus, the Flash has a multitude of powers. Super speed, can throw lightning from his fist, can travel through time, can travel across different dimensions, can vibrate his molecules so he can phase through solid objects, and can just tap into the Speed Force. I mean, come on. The Flash is one of the best superheroes to ever exist, aside from Alfred Pennyworth. We have to put him up there. The Flash is a god-tier hero. His powers literally couldn't make him a god. Next up, we have the Green Arrow, aka Robin Hood, but new. The Green Arrow, like his name suggests, he is an archer, marksman, basically has many very interesting arrows with many interesting abilities, like can explode on impact. He could have arrows made of kryptonite to take down Superman, etc., etc., etc. But here's the question. What happens when he runs out of arrows? Because once he runs out of arrows, at that point, he's just a man. And surely he does have immense fighting abilities, but without his arrows, he's lost his greatest weapon. So because his strength mostly depends on him having enough arrows, I gotta dock him a few points. I'm not gonna put him in cancel. I'll put him down in Lex Lackey. Next up we have the Green Lantern. The Green Lantern. This is a really good one in my opinion. The Green Lantern Corps stands for willpower. The power of the Green Lantern ring can conjure anything limited by the user's imagination, as long as they still have tremendous willpower, which Hal Jordan really does seem to have. And I definitely know what my imagination would do. We're not going to get into that. Point being, the Green Lantern is such a great hero, in my opinion, that we need to put him up in Justice Leaguer. Even ahead of Catwoman. I'm sorry that we had to knock you down, Catwoman, but it was necessary. Next up, we have Hawkman. Hawkman, I believe his name is Carter Hall. And I'm going to be honest, Hawkman is the one that I probably know the least about out of everybody on this list. I was never really a fan of Hawkman. Literally, I'm like, what does he got? He has wings. He's like centuries old. He has a mace. Green Arrow has, well, arrows. I'm just not a fan of Hawkman, nor do I really have much to say about him. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and put him down in Cancelled with Dr. Fate. You two can stay down there. Next up, we have the Martian Manhunter. The Martian Manhunter, as the name would suggest, is a Martian who hunts men. Yeah, sure, let's go with that. And he has a multitude of powers. I believe they include, but not limited to, flight, invisibility, can read minds, can phase through objects, can change their appearance, and probably a bunch of others that I'm more than likely forgetting. I mean, he's got a multitude of powers, but he's not exactly one of my favorites. I would honestly put him like along the lines of Super. Because I mean, he may be super, but he's lame in my books. Next up, we have one of Batman's proteges. We have Nightwing. Nightwing, the first Robin, Dick Grayson, eventually grew up and grew out of Batman's shadow. No longer wanted to be in Batman's shadow. He wanted to be his own hero. So he became Nightwing to become the protector of Bloodhaven. So he's trying to be Batman, but he could never be Batman. No one could ever be Batman. And Batman can't even be Alfred Pennyworth, the greatest hero of all time. So I'm sorry, Nightwing, but you're kind of on the level with your other Titan. You're down in like somewhere in Super. I'll put you like right in the middle of Super. I just noticed that like a majority of those in Super are Titans. Alright, next up we have one originally named Captain Marvel, eventually renamed Shazam! To better fit his powers. 10-year-old Billy Batson was given the power and wisdom of Solomon. I think. I could be getting the name wrong. And that to activate his powers, he has to say, Shazam! And he becomes a big boy with power of lightning from his fingertips. Honestly, that is some really cool, these are some really cool powers in my opinion. Plus a really good suit. I really do like Shazam. I don't know enough to be put in God tier, but I do think enough to put him up at the beginning of Justice Leaguer. I think that's fitting in my opinion. Next up we have Superman, who is literally an alien who gets his powers from our yellow sun, which gives him the ability of flight, super strength, laser vision, freeze like cold breath or whatever, super speed, and many more powers I'm probably forgetting. Super hearing, X-ray vision, and probably some other shit I'm definitely forgetting. I will say one thing about Superman is that in the comics and the shows that I've seen, he always changes in a phone booth. Aren't almost all phone booths like clear? So they should 100% be able to see him, shouldn't they? But still, Superman is a superhero, but nowhere near as good as Alfred Pennyworth. So we need to put him down, and still in God tier, but nowhere near high enough to even touch Alfred Pennyworth. And lastly on this list, we have Wonder Woman. I don't know why I did the Wakanda Forever symbol. Wonder Woman, aka Diana of Themyscira. A land of all women, super strength women. I mean, I would not mind being in that kind of land. But they'd probably kill me so fast. Why? Because women are scary. And because I'm afraid they may exist in real life and want to come and kill me, I'm going to play to their strengths and to their favor, hopefully, and put them up in God tier. See, you are definitely respected in my books. Please do not come and murder me. And I think we're going to end this off right here. So, I've been Floz MG. This has been Ranking DC Superheroes, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.